Now, it's a fact that nobody does song titles like Ron Russell Mael of SPARKS, and today I'm covering one of their best. It's Baby Baby Can I Invade Your Country? And this is a song that's both intelligent and funny and sounds a little bit naughty too. And in this video I'm going to cover what I think it's about. So let's not hang about, because this episode is one I've been looking forward to doing for a really long time. So without further ado, baby, let's invade.
Oh, say can you see, by the dawn's early light, what is around that we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, through broad stripes of bright stars, through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, it blew through the night, but our flag was still there. Oh, say does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave.
I'm sure many of you will already recognise these words, especially the Americans, because this is the US national anthem, verbatim. Except SPARKS add one more thing.
Oh, say does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free, and one more thing. Can I invade your country? Oh baby, baby, can I invade your country? Oh baby, baby, can I invade your country? Oh baby, baby, can I invade your country? Invade your country.
Now, it's hard to not see this song as being political. It was released on the Hello Young Lovers album in 2006, and that was 3 years into the Iraq War, in which the American public were viewing the war with frustration and disillusionment. It was seen as a quagmire or a mistake. So taking the US anthem, which is literally about pride in your flag, and putting it next to a chorus about invading smaller countries, all dressed up in the language of pop music, disguised as a love song. Well, you can't help but think the SPARKS are making a point here. So as ever, they're hitting the zeitgeist in their own strange and peculiar way. But in my view, sex and politics aren't the main intent of this song, because as I say on every episode, I believe that every SPARKS song is designed to tell us something profound about SPARKS themselves and mainly their art. So let's start decoding this. Let's treat this song like a puzzle, starting with the anthem. So here's how it came about. It originated in the Battle of Baltimore, written by an American lawyer called Francis Scott Key. He was on board a British boat there to negotiate the release of an American prisoner, and he was kept overnight because they didn't want him to spoil the battle plans. So he watched anxiously as these British ships laid into Fort McHenry, and the whole time he was focused on the flag that was flying above the fort, because while that was still flying, it meant that the Americans were holding their ground. So he waited all night, and then in the dawn's early light he saw that the flag was still flying, signalling a US victory. So he was moved by the sight, and he wrote this poem, which was later set to music and became the US national anthem. So in which case you can think of it as being a song about the triumph of the underdog, and that is how we connect it to SPARKS. The British had a far superior navy, and they were fresh from defeating Napoleon, and that allowed them to shift all of their focus to the American conflict. And then the US was a young and less experienced country, and they had limited military resources. So the successful defence of Fort McHenry against a powerful British fleet was seen as both surprising and inspiring, making the sight of this flag still flying even more meaningful. And it's easy to make parallels to SPARKS and their career up to this point in 2006. Their story had been a real battle. For decades, they were America's best kept secret, brilliant and genre-defying and always at the forefront. But the thing that they didn't get was recognition. But instead of fading away, they endured. Like the battered fort in the anthem, they held their ground. And now, by dawn's early light, we could see that SPARKS were still there, with their flag flying proud. And this concept sits really well with my last video, which was about the song before this, The Very Next Fight. There I suggest the lyrics of that song are talking about how Sparks' longevity is owed to years of fighting, to both winning and losing. And that's what we get here in the chorus. Another fight. But this time, it's not as underdogs. It's as the invading force. They're scaled up to be a world superpower. So Sparks are no longer on the defence. It's like a declaration. We're done waiting. We're taking over. So this is Sparks as artistic imperialists, with their tongue firmly in their cheek. So like many Sparks songs, this sets out their scale of ambition, not least in this part of the song.
Countries, planets, stars, galaxies so far. Don't let freedom fade, baby, let's invade.
They won't settle for just invading countries. They keep scaling it up. It's countries, planets, stars, then galaxies so far. Each goal is bigger than the last, and nothing is too ambitious for them. And that line, don't let freedom fade. Well, freedom was a word that was used a lot by the Bush administration at the time. And it's easy to be cynical about the idea of exporting freedom. But in this case, I think Sparks are talking about the commercial and mainly creative freedom that they'd gained, not just with Little Beethoven, but with Little Beethoven records. They were now secure and could do any music that they liked. But this is a danger, because if you've got no restrictions, then this creative freedom can either be lost or can kill that spark of inspiration. So they need these far-off goals to work towards. So that's what I think this song is about. But now let's take a look at why I think it's significant, because this is something they don't just explore on this song. So let's look at songs that use similar metaphors, starting with these military underdogs.
Boy, she's spewing out the propaganda.
I'm on guard again, but unprepared to fend for myself in a battle. You won't tell me why the shrubbery moves, or why there always has to be a subterfuge.
By then we'll be rid of your lot. A shot around the world will soon be shot, will soon be shot. Till then, have some tea and tobacco.
Johnny was a soldier with the Allies. Johnny was a soldier all the way. Johnny was a soldier with a fun side. Johnny liked to laugh a lot each day.
In 1920 you could dance, in 1930 lose your pants, in 1940 you could go to war really soon. There are soldiers, sailors, stuntmen, jailers. The army then rejected me, said I had 2 left feet. Wore them out when I was 3. Each of you has other seats, smart professors and clean marines. You two live your life in stereo.
Each of these songs are from the first decade of Sparks' career, and it covers every one of their albums released in this time. And just like with Baby Baby Can I Invade Your Country, each of these references can be used to infer something about Sparks and their career and their art. But to keep things short, I'm going to skim over that, because each of them deserves its own video. Apart from Saccharine and the Walkers, I haven't got a clue what that song's about. But what I do know is that these songs can strongly reflect Sparks being on the front line of pop, as they were throughout the 70s. And there's one other reference worth looking at too. This is A Fun Bunch of Guys from Outer Space.
We're a fine bunch of guys, and we come from outer space.
That's a song from the In Outer Space album, and it's about aliens looking down at the world, and I see it as Sparks being outsiders looking down at popular culture. And if you look at that one line as being about songwriting, then from the planet that Sparks come from, war is even fun because they put it into these fun songs. But what I'm getting at with this is that Sparks are known for having these tropes that cross albums. A famous one is marriage, particularly marrying yourself or heaven. But they have tons of these recurring themes that are really hard to notice until you look for them. And that's what we get here with war. So let's continue looking into these connections between songs and return to this verse.
Countries, planets, stars, galaxies so far. Don't let freedom fade, baby, let's invade.
This is a callback to Talent is an Asset from Kimono My House, released in 1974. And on my video for Kimono My House, I make the claim that what this song is really saying is that Sparks aren't a five-piece, they are in fact just Ron Russell Mael, because they don't need any non-relatives. It's a song about wanting to be left alone creatively, and it ends with this section. Now that's a glorious way of telling other people to just go away. It says, leave Albert's study room, leave Albert's happy home and his neighbourhood, city, county, country, continent and hemisphere. It scales right up to leave Albert's universe. And this scaling up is exactly what we see with countries, planets, stars. So in the 70s, they were calling to be isolated and to be free from these people who were bothering Ron and interrupting his creativity. But by 2006, they've transformed it into taking over the world, to making Sparks bigger and more important over time. It's about scaling up again. So now let's take a closer look at Hello Young Lovers, the album that Baby Baby Can I Invade Your Country belongs to, because there are other examples of scaling up, such as this song towards the end of the album. This is Here Kitty.
I hear them calling for me, fireman, oh fireman. I hear them calling for me, hurry, hurry, fireman. I climb the eucalyptus, bring a kitty back. I climb the Douglas fir, bring a kitty back. I climb the juniper, bring a kitty back. How can I thank you for you bringing kitty back?
This song is about a fireman who rescues various cats from various trees, and each time he's repaid in sexual favours by the cat's grateful owner. She'll take him home, they'll have a one-night stand, and everyone's a winner. But then a scaling up happens towards the end of the song, when instead of rescuing a cat from a tree, he rescues a tiger from a burning circus.
A four llama and the circus is ablaze. Panicky people run out madly through the haze. I fight my way into the big top, wipe my eyes. There stands a tiger trainer, lovely, hear her cry. She points up to the high while there a tiger stands. Oh, help me, bring my tiger down, dear man. If you will save him, I will be yours every night. I climb the pole and look the tiger in the eye. I climb the pole and look the tiger in the eye.
Here, not only is the situation scaled up, but it's also the risk and the reward. A cat becomes a tiger, the tree becomes a high wire, and instead of a one-night stand, it's a long relationship.
If you will save him, I will be yours every night.
So this has gone from one night stands to this long-term commitment, and this scaling up mirrors what we saw in Baby Baby Can I Invade Your Country, starting with a small underdog army at the Battle of Baltimore and ending with this world superpower, which I believe represents SPARKS' long-term plans for the band, because they are a band that work in the long term. They always think beyond the current project. And there's more evidence to back this up on the song that follows Baby Baby Can I Invade Your Country. This is Rock, Rock, Rock.
And since you put a gun to my head,
I promise that I'll rock, rock, rock. Don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me, don't leave me. I will rock, rock, rock. Like a mother, like a mother, like a mother, like a mother.
soft passages,
They get you into trouble.
they imply a certain low respectability, a certain measure of
They get you
weakness,
into trouble.
a certain level of maturity.
Okay, so think of it this way. SPARKS, as a band, are going to rock like motherfuckers. And this is going to happen sometime in the future. It's a promise that they're making. And that's not to say that in 2006, SPARKS didn't already rock. After all, they recorded Dick Around, and that's metal as hell.
All I do is stick around. The sun goes up and the moon goes down. Leaves and read the leaves around. All I do is stick around. All I do is stick around. The sun goes up and the moon goes down. Leaves and read the leaves around. All I do is stick around.
So yeah, it's true that SPARKS did rock, but in terms of their career, this is akin to a soft passage. A passage is just somewhere that takes you to somewhere else. It's not a destination. It can also be a soft passage of music, and given the classical overtones all over this period of the band, then they could have been mistaken for being a bit boring. These soft passages, they get you into trouble because they imply a kind of faux respectability and maturity, all of which can lose SPARKS their fan base. So that's why they're saying, don't leave me. They're pleading to their own audience. It's asking us to trust SPARKS that they're going to deliver this amazing thing in the future. And all of this fits in with the first 3 videos that I've made on Hello Young Lovers for the tracks Dick Around, Perfume and The Very Next Fight. There, I've been talking about the subtext of these songs, saying that SPARKS were making a fundamental change to the band. Instead of reinventing themselves album by album, they were instead going to build on what came before rather than throwing it away every time. In that sense, it's always the same. So it's an album about setting new goals. And here, it's a fiercely ambitious goal of building from countries, planets, stars, galaxies so far, and delivering something that will rock. And I believe that they're in no rush to get there. In fact, I believe the thing they're referencing here still hasn't come, and is also referenced all over the new album Mad, which I've only just had a chance to listen to. After this song, for 2 decades, all of their creativity was driven by taking baby steps towards this North Star, this thing that will rock. And I believe that to be like a culmination of all their work that explains finally who SPARKS are as a band and reveals this hidden story that I've been digging into on this channel. So in the years leading up to this, SPARKS were characterized by resetting their career, starting again as a new band. But after this point, every new album felt like it was making SPARKS that little bit more important, that little bit more successful. Every album would signify them meeting a new objective or goal. And Hello Young Lovers is an album that didn't make that much of a splash commercially. However, now, 20 years later, they're able to play the Hollywood Bowl, Sydney Opera House, and the Royal Albert Hall. They've scaled up just as they promised to on this album. And once again, there's more support by this on an alternative version of Baby Baby Can I Invade Your Country. This version has alternative lyrics that instead of using the Star Spangled Banner, it features dialogue with a beautiful head of state. And as ever, if you look at the female love interest as being Ron's relationship with his own creativity, then there are really interesting things to infer from this version.
I wait for your answer, but while I am waiting, I may as well ask you, what's your favorite color? I wait for your answer, but while I am waiting, I may as well ask you, what's your favorite song? I wait for your answer, but while I am waiting, I may as well ask you, who's your favorite Beatle? I wait for your answer, but while I am waiting, I may as well ask you, tell me whose side you're on. I need the enjoyment of rapid deployment. I need a decision I'm waiting for, move 'em out.
I always preferred this version of the song that was put out on the cover of a magazine ahead of Hello Young Lovers coming out, and I was a bit dumbfounded as to why they changed the lyrics, because it makes sense as a kind of metaphor for seduction. Like many Ron Mael songs, he's trying to get the girl, and it makes the chorus of "Can I Invade Your Country" even funnier and much ruder. And it works really well when you look at it as being about songwriting. If, as I was saying, the album Hello Young Lovers is about what to do when you've achieved all of your creative goals, as they did with Little Beethoven, then this can be asking questions of his own songwriting. What's your favourite colour is about as basic as it gets, and it's a question that he's asking as a prompt just to move forward. Nothing deep, just simple questions. And then it goes into the territory of music. What's your favourite song? And then, who's your favourite Beatle? And later on in the song, we get an answer to that. It's suggested that it's Ringo who's the apolitical one. And that's apt for a song that sounds like it's really political on the surface, but the true meaning of it is all about creativity. But more importantly, it seems like it's about wanting to move forward quickly. He says, I need the enjoyment of rapid deployment, which is a really funny line. So he wants to be getting on with it. And in the old version of Sparks, that would have meant finding a new genre, finding a new scene. So here he's waiting for a decision on where to go next. But he's not going to get one, because this version of Sparks didn't run off to new genres, didn't reinvent themselves. The version of Sparks that recorded Hello Young Lovers and Little Beethoven is the same version of Sparks that recorded Mad. There have been changes, yes, but nothing as fundamental as going from the Europop of Bulls to the neo-classical rock thing that Sparks currently are. And so the battle's called off with the song ending like this.
Your ladyship, your statesmanship has killed our hip relationship. Our partnership is dead.
There's a great bit of wordplay here because he uses the title Your Ladyship and tells her that her statesmanship has killed their hip relationship, which is quite the tongue twister. But what this amounts to is that the invasion has been called off, or at least postponed. Her statesmanship is like her dignity. And it feels to me that Sparks don't want to dive in with both feet and just win the war. They want to do things their own way. And that's slowly and gradually building this great finale to the Sparks story, which I think we're going to get from the brothers sometime in the next few years. So I've made some huge claims in this video, and I plan to back them all up, because every song that I talk about from here on in that comes after 2006 will all reference this ambitious long-term goal of this artistic feat that the world just hasn't seen, that only Sparks know about and are going to reveal onto an unsuspecting world. There's proof of it throughout the post-millennial back catalogue, and I hope you stick around to hear more of what I've got to say on this. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone everybody for watching, everybody for sticking with it, your likes and your comments and subscriptions. And I'd really appreciate it if anybody could head over to buymeacoffee.com. My page there is MetaSparks, and any donations would be massively appreciated. Now I'm trying to figure out what video to make next. I've got a video on Number One in Heaven with Ad Rebirth that's due to come out soon, but I think next I'm going to be doing My Baby's Taking Me Home, but via the Island Years. So that's going to be quite a big video that explains what this super ambiguous song is really saying. So I hope all of that made sense. If anybody has any questions or wants me to expand on what I've spoken about here, then just post below. And once again, thank you very much everybody, and I'll catch you soon on MetaSparks.
Baby, let's invade. Can I invade your country? Oh, baby, baby.